And good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of the African American Athlete. I'm Rickey Hampton, along with my friend and frat brother, Michael Roberson, coming to you on a Wednesday evening, late night edition. And we're joined by our great friend, a University of Texas, San Antonio legend. His jersey hangs from the
Wow.
rafters. Uh, the little brother of the Iceman, but a prolific scorer in his own right, doing his NBA days with the New Jersey Nets, Derek Gervin, and of course Derek and I do I do all these shows as good as it gets here on the African American Athlete Network. But D, we wanted to get you in, man, because the news that just rocked not just the basketball world, Mike and Derek, but the sports world this afternoon. Milwaukee Bucks making the deal for Damian Lillard, and it involves three teams. With Damian going to Milwaukee, Drew Holiday, the outstanding point guard of the Bucks, is headed to Portland, and the Phoenix Suns are sending their center DeAndre Ayton to the Blazers, and I don't. I hope I said Drew Holiday went to the Blazers too, but nobody thinks he's going to be there for a while. But the main, these are some really good players on the move. Nurkic goes from Portland to Phoenix along with Nasir Little and Keon Johnson. The Suns also got Grayson Allen from the Bucks. The Bucks bench is depleted a little bit in this deal, but I want to start with you, D, as a former NBA player. But they acquired one of the great scorers in recent NBA history in Damian Lillard. What is your thoughts on the trade and how it's going to impact
First, Rick, I want to thank you, man, for the introduction. I mean that sincerely, man. That was heck of a. You got me already do cartwheels. And good evening, Mike. Hey, Ricky, I don't know. For me, the trade, if you look at it, for me, the best of the trade to me went to Phoenix. I'm sorry. I still have question marks about Milwaukee. I'm glad to see Dame, this situation finally end, and him getting out of Portland for a new start. But I like the Milwaukee Bucks. But if you look at their starting lineup, probably right now, it would probably be Dame. You got Chris Middleton. You got Giannis. You got Bobby Portis. And who I'm leaving out? Oh, Brook Lopez.
Okay.
So the only question I have with that is, as far as you mentioned, the depleted bench. And so that's an issue for me. We don't know how that's going to pan out. It's still early, but I don't know. We don't know how Giannis and Dame are going to mesh. That's even before we talk about the rest of the players. So it's going to be something interesting because, as you know now, the dynamics will change a little bit because Dame will be the one having the ball in his hands at the end now, taking those last shots because we know Giannis is not very good at the free throw line. So that's going to be an issue. I'm sure Giannis will make the adjustment, but it's going to be something different. How it'll affect the team, we don't know yet. But I have to say this quickly. Losing Drew Holiday. Some people talk like Drew Holiday was a bust all of a sudden because he got torched by Jimmy Butler. And we have to remember that Drew Holiday is about 6'4", at maximum 6'5", and he's going against a muscle-bound Jimmy Butler who's 6'8". And we already know how he's established his presence in the playoffs. So losing Drew, you're losing toughness, and then you're losing Grayson Allen, who's also a guy that can help you as far as being tough, and he can help you offensively. So there's a lot of dynamics that are still we haven't seen yet. We'll find out more as they get near preseason. But right now, I still have question marks about Milwaukee.
Your thoughts, Mike?
All right, of course, how you guys are talking about how it's cool to now be, supporting the Lions in your hometown, Derek. and then Ricky's adopted hometown, even though he's from Nashville. I don't know why he doesn't like the Titans, but
where my Lion cap at?
But me being from there, of course, and actually covered them too. I covered them from, and I still cover them when I'm out here. Matter of fact, I did the game last year when they were out here in Oakland. I'm sorry, San Francisco. I'm still forgetting that they moved over across the bay. But anyway, it's exciting that they did that, especially after you get Giannis making these overtures that, I don't know if I'm happy. I'm do this sign this extension if the Bucks don't seem like they're trying to do something. Well, they did something. And this is after you said, I don't believe in failure, because you're basically trying to squash all the negativity of, dude, you guys choked, okay? You guys had the number 1 seed without Damian Lillard, but you had the number 1 seed and failed miserably. And like Derek said, Butler was killing you guys, basically single-handedly. And they didn't even have the Milwaukee native. They didn't even have Hero. Just think if Hero would have been kind of working, and he's playing against his hometown team, in the playoffs. So they were really exposed last year. And then, of course, Budenholzer got, the brunt of it by being let go. And now we have Adrian Griffin, in his first year. That's another thing, Derek. How will he be able to handle this with 2 megastars, on the same team? I mean, the last time we had this in Milwaukee, would say when we had Kareem and Oscar Robertson. Now, we did have stars during their good run in the early 2000s when you had Big Dog, Ray Allen, and Sam Cassell. Those were 3 stars. But these 2, at point guard and big man, this is the kind of thing that you can equate to the early 70s when it was he and Oscar Robertson. So it should be exciting. And like I said, I'm trying to make sure I get credential for the game when they come out here, because I always like to see the Bucks, but this would be a more exciting team to watch. But Drew Holiday did a lot, not only on offense, because when they won the finals, he was a key figure in that finals, but his defense is unquestionably great, and that's going to be a big loss for somebody on-ball defender, even though he did get torched by Butler. But overall, he's been one of the best defending guards.
Yeah, his body of work. His body of work speaks for itself. Hey, Derek, how does Drew? I mean, how does Damian and Giannis? If it goes well, how does that look? If it goes bad, how does that look?
I really can't see it going bad, because I believe Dame is at the point in his career that he really wants to win. So he's all in. And we know Giannis. Giannis is one of the premier, and I'm talking about behavior-wise. He's what the NBA is about. Guys like him and Jokic, they're in it for the right reasons. I didn't like at the end what Mike said. Like he said, I didn't like that part when Giannis started talking about being unhappy about maybe going to Golden State or the Knicks and all that nonsense after they've been over backwards to do everything they could for you. The problem I didn't like about that is you got Adrian Griffin. It's almost like he's stabbing your coach before you even get to know who he is.
Yeah.
So if they go ahead and get all that stuff settled, I think Dame and I mean, that'd be tough. Just think of them in the pick and roll, Ricky. I mean, it's man. I mean, you got Dame Dollar and you got Giannis. I think they'll be one of the best duels in the league, unquestionably. Yep. The thing that's going to be the question for me are the supporting players. And I didn't even get into Middleton being injured. He hasn't been the same in 3 years. Brook Lopez has been in and out of the lineup. I'm not going to even bring up Giannis's injury because I think that was just a freak injury and he'll be fine. But I think it can only go well if they all buy into the system and Giannis buys into the new coach. And that's the biggest key for me is how he accepts Adrian Griffin. And if they do that, I think the sky's the limit for them with Dame and Giannis on the same team.
So what does this do to the Eastern Conference? I mean, they were near the top. I mean, they
were the top.
Hey, Ricky, I can answer that quickly. Did you see the video of Jimmy Butler talking about the NBA needs to investigate for tampering?
Yeah.
So that right there tells you it shifted the dynamics he doesn't have a lot of confidence in his team right now with them losing out on Dame.
Right.
And right now they haven't addressed their situation. I still say Bam should be the power forward and not their center. So they need to be bringing in a big man. But of course, this is going to shake things up. You still got your Boston Celtics. You can never count them out. But this definitely does a lot for Milwaukee because you still have other teams that we don't know what's going to happen with, like Philadelphia. We still don't know how that's going to pan out with the James Harden situation. I saw Daryl Morey the other day. He's just like me. He's focused on his ping pong game. So if he can get all that stuff out the way and try to build his team and figure out what they did wrong last year, it's going to be very interesting. The East is going to be up in the air.
Yeah. And the Suns, they got rid of Ayton. He's a double guy, but they got Nurkic, who was a good passer, good player. He averages 17, 18 points a game. Does he fit in better with KD, Booker, and Bill?
Without question, because he's a rim protector, which Ayton was not. He's a better defender in the pick and roll, and he's a tough guy. His only problem is injuries that he's had. But last year he was pretty healthy most of the season. He's not afraid of Jokic. If you guys remember this one play, you and Mike should remember one play that showed what Ayton was about. When they were playing against Denver, Jokic had taken a shot, and he missed. And he's the only one going for his rebound. Him and Ayton are there. Ayton is just standing there under the basket, looking at the man like, go ahead and do your thing. And that, for me, that was a problem. So I think Nurkic changes the whole dynamics. He doesn't have to worry about, he's not going to complain about not getting the ball. He's not going to be a locker room issue. He's just going to come out and play and accept his role. And the guy also has some offense. So he'll just let the game come to him. So I think it's a big change. I think it's nothing but a grade up. I gave Phoenix an A+ on these trades they made.
Mike?
Yeah, I agree too because, he may be, especially the way today's game is now where, Ayton's, supposedly a back down center, and that's becoming dinosaurs now in this era. And, think about it. It looked like Ayton was going to be like a beast. And then he didn't get along with the coach, and then they got rid of the coach. So he thought like, okay, well, maybe he has a fresh start. And still nothing. So it seems like he burned the bridge with them, a few years ago. And who knows? Maybe we'll see the best that we've ever seen of him in Portland. Maybe he'll do what Greg Oden was supposed to do. So sometimes you got to look at it as this. Maybe, oh man, this is the worst time in my career. I went from a team that was in the finals, and they're predicting to put him there now. Now that we got KD, but then you also could look at it as, you know what? I'm going to now be individually a better player because I'm out from under that bad storm that was in Phoenix. Even though it's hard, it's kind of oxymoronic to say storm in Phoenix, but I'm out of that dust cloud, okay? That dust cloud in Phoenix. So now maybe I can get a fresh start because I think I still have talent and I think I still can contribute to this NBA. So, I mean, that's the way you got to do it because otherwise, if you just go there and say, I'm miserable, I don't want to deal with this. If you guys trade me, I'm not going to report, blah, blah, blah. So as long as we don't hear that and you look at it as a positive because it was basically negative the last few years. And,
Mike, Ricky, can I say this quickly as far as that? I think this is a great move for Ayton. And for one reason, I'm going to say because this puts him more in a leadership role.
Yeah.
As opposed to being in the background with KD and Devin Booker and those guys. Now you're going to a team with a young Scoot Henderson, a rookie coming in who I can't see. I look at this as like Chauncey Billups putting the ball in Scoot's hands, kind of like Greg Popovich did with Tony Parker. So this is going to be great. Now you got Ayton who likes to shoot that free throw jump shot, Mike. So now you can play him and Scoot in the pick and roll, right? They still have Anthony Simons, who we know had a breakout year last year. Shaden Sharp is going to be really nice this year. He's going to have a breakout year. You got Jeremy Grant, who's happy. He just got a new contract. So the only difference, it gives Aiden more of a chance to shine, puts him more in that leadership role. And I think that's what he'll embrace. And I think it'll help the other players as well.
And how would he and Chauncey, get together? Because remember, in Phoenix, it just really got ugly. And it basically seemed like on one play, everything turned where the coach said, I don't really have confidence in you. And remember, in the finals, that key block that Giannis got, it seemed like that changed everything for him. He kind of disappeared the rest of the finals. Remember when he was going for that dunk,
Mike,
Giannis blocked it?
Can I say, Mike, the difference? I say the difference in this situation is I know Monty Williams personally.
Yeah.
And I think he's a very nice guy. And, sometimes people take advantage of that, right?
Yeah.
Aiden won't be able to talk back to Chauncey Billups at all because Chauncey has won that ring. He's been there. He's led them to a title. And, sometimes the little things like that matter. Certain coaches, guys be like, man, I'm not trying to hear what you're talking about. With a Chauncey Billups, he has no choice but to buy in. And I think sometimes that helps a guy, and it changes the trajectory of their career.
That's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely on that, D. Let's go to, we talked about Phoenix's impact and Portland. Actually, we did talk about Portland. And, Drew Holiday is not going to finish the year there, is he, D? And then he's a valuable piece for the Blazers as they try to, redo this thing, reboot this thing.
Yeah, he is. But the only thing that's even more that tells me they're giving the ball to Scoot. Because Drew, if you look at it with Drew, Simons, and Scoot today, you could play small ball. They do that. But I think they just want to turn it over to Scoot, and they want to get all the other stuff out of the way. And sadly for me, I hate to see Drew get moved around because Drew is one of the most underrated players that I've ever seen in his, since I've been watching basketball. But I just don't think – I think just by process of elimination that he's going to get moved. I just think maybe he'll end up with another contending team. But I just can't see him. I actually could see him going back to New Orleans or a team like that. I just can't see him with those three guys in the backcourt. I don't see how that's going to work.
And Mike, the day before, he said, "Man, I want to finish my career in Milwaukee."
Oh, okay,
but of course, there is no business of the NBA.
That's a death wish right there to say something like that. But my question, Derek, would be: do you think they would do the really humiliating thing and release him, or they're going to make sure they get a trade for him before All-Star break?
I think they're going to try to trade him if they can get some. I think they'll be able to get something for him because it's not like Drew dropped off or just fell off the earth. Right. He still averaged 18 points and 8 assists in the series against Miami. So I think they're going to still try to he still has some value. I just can't see them waving a Drew Holiday. He's going to get traded. There are going to be a lot of teams inquiring about him. And, he's still a starting point guard. So there's a team. Now, here's a team. Can I mention a quick team? Yeah. LA Clippers. They've been talking about Russ. Do you want Russ coming off the bench again? I think that would work with Drew and Russ. And
LA Lakers.
I think they too crowded now, Mike, to be honest. We'll get into them with Gabe Vincent and all those guys. But if you look at it right now, the team that could use them most might be the LA Clippers.
What about the Miami Heat?
Well, of course, you can use them too since they didn't have Dame. The only thing, the difference is I thought Miami needed Dame because they needed a guy that could spread the floor. And I don't think Drew does that. Drew is not a great outside shooter. And so it's still kind of congested because, that kind of hurts Bam and Jimmy a little bit. I thought they needed Dame, that guy, that commanding presence. And you look at Dame, it's almost like looking at Steph Curry.
Right.
And team scouting report is built around, guarding Dame. I don't think it will be the same dynamic in Miami, but I say he could still help Miami. Now, how they looking at it is one thing, but I think Drew could help any team.
Because the reason I mentioned Miami, guys, he's a tough-minded guy, kind of, gritty kind of player, and that's kind of the way Miami likes to play.
Yeah, that's him.
From a mental approach, he's definitely a Miami type of player.
Well, the only thing I said about that, Ricky, is because if you look at how they played with Strus and Caleb Martin and Vincent, they opened up the floor. Those guys were knocking down threes.
Right.
And that's the only thing that hurts, that I think, with Drew. But I'm sure with Spoelstra, he would find a way to figure it out. But if I'm Miami, I'm listening to you, Ricky. I'll get him there first, and then we go from there. We find a way to make it work. But I want to get him in-house if I could.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
no, go ahead, Mike.
And also, you got to look at it as, how much leverage does he have? He might say, you know what, I'm not down really with the Miami situation, or I'm not too happy about Portland basically using me as a pivot point. So, maybe he'll say, you know what, maybe I'm sure, I don't know if he has a trade exclusivity, whereas like no trade clause. I'm not sure if he has that, but
he had talked about retiring.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. So you get into that situation where it's like, look, I don't want to be toiled around in perpetuity and things like that. I want to make sure that I'm settling in a place I want to be. And like I said, I wanted to retire in Milwaukee because I finally found a home. And now you guys are treating me like I'm in my first or second year, unsure about what the things are going. And I've established myself as one of the top two-way guards in the NBA. So, like I said, if he says, you know what, you guys going to try to trade me to some, bad organization or something like that, I'm done. I'm retired. I got a championship. I got a wife that we went through a lot, but she's by my side still.
Mike,
I'm done.
Mike, could you see Drew? I don't see Drew as a type of guy that wants to go out the way he went out, with people talking about Jimmy Butler torching him.
Yeah,
I don't think he has that kind of makeup in him. I think he's more of a Jimmy Butler type guy. He's the kind of guy that wants to go out on his own accord, the way he wants to go out. And I think he wants to kind of make amends for last season. And I mean, what he going from a wool coat to the beach, man? Come on.
Yeah,
and I definitely think he wants to go to a team that's contending.
Exactly. Yeah. What if he ends up in Charlotte or something?
No, but I'm saying Miami. Remember, Ricky brought up Miami. Ricky, who would turn that down when you've been wearing wool coats and now you get to put on some shorts and Crocs or whatever, and you got a chance to play with Jimmy Butler. I don't think I can pass that up.
What would Portland get back though? What would Portland get back for?
Well, they had to figure out, do all that stuff.
They always go with draft picks, man.
Yeah, swaps. And now we're dealing with the swaps, like they did in the Dame trade, some first round swaps and all that stuff.
But I think I don't think a rebuilding team. They would love to have him, but they would use him as a piece because, he's 33. That's why Portland is not going to keep him there, because they'll try to get something for him, and the only people that will want him will be teams that need a leader, a veteran guy that's been there. So I think he'll get his opportunity. Yeah,
who drafted me, Ricky? That's another team.
The 76ers.
But you're Philadelphia.
Yeah. The 76ers. Yeah, it's a team.
Well, they would have to move Harden, though, right?
I was going to ask that, Mike.
What do you mean? Mike, James Harden would not be playing for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay. Now, you guys, training camp starts next week, right?
Yeah. Training camp, yeah.
He would James Harden at training camp.
James Harden, you can't let him come back in. You trying to start over. The process is that stuff is done. You cannot come back with the negativity after what James Harden said publicly about Daryl Morey. That's not the way you want to go into a new season. That stuff didn't work. It's time for Morey and Harden to go their separate ways. And Harden said it clearly. he doesn't want to play for Daryl Morey ever again. He called the man a liar. I mean, come on, the man, defamation of character. There's no way that could work again. Just as a man, there's no way I could bring him back to that locker room.
No, you are absolutely right. Las Vegas has made the Bucks favorites after the trade with Denver, their second choice, and Boston, the third choice.
Wow. Second in the NBA, Ricky, or not in the East? You talking about the whole NBA? Oh my goodness, that's ludicrous, man. That's what
Vegas has made the Bucks the favorites to win the NBA title.
Yeah, they made them last year too while I was picking Denver, so they can pick whoever they want.
But then again, Derek, let's look at every time KD goes somewhere, they're the number one seed. I mean, look what they said about Phoenix when KD went there. Oh, they're going to win it all. And when he's in Brooklyn, oh, they're going to win it all. And then let's not forget the Clippers when, oh, yeah, look at that shrewd move by Kawhi where he dissed LeBron and went to the Clippers. And now Paul George, who didn't want to play LeBron, they're the number one seed. And it's always, we thought it was going to happen, but something will happen along the way.
Mike, can you just win? Can you just win? Can you just win with a good starting five? I haven't heard them talk. Did Vegas talk about the bench of Milwaukee?
No.
So that's what they need to be talking about.
Same thing with Brooklyn. Remember, it was like they were top heavy. Yeah.
I cannot put them over the Boston Celtics.
See, I am not a Celtics fan, but boy, that trade for Porzingis, I like him fitting in Boston, Derek.
I do too, Ricky.
At his age right now, he's a much better player than Horford.
Giannis has kind of regressed. If you really look at it from his MVP years, he was hitting free throws. Remember, he made 17 of 18, didn't he, Mike?
Yeah.
And then what did he do this past few months ago? He missed 17 free throws in one game.
Yeah.
But he didn't fail. He did not fail.
Well, but I'm just saying now, how much is this Olajuwon project going to work? With him working out, he just finished working with Akeem for a few days.
Right.
So hopefully that'll help his confidence. But he still has to, until he starts shooting that jumper with confidence, I'm still going to have questions about Milwaukee, his jumper and his free throw.
You know what? To be such a great player, he's very
it's hard for you to explain it, huh, Ricky? As great as he is, but he can't shoot the ball outside of 5 feet.
Yeah, he's not one-dimensional, but he's either going downhill or getting a rebound and putting it back up. But
criticism of him was, he said, it's easy to just run up and down the court and dunk. You got to have skill like I have. When I guess he dissed James Harden in the All-Star game and said, I want guys that either pass the ball or he made some kind of.
He said that'll pass the ball.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and it's an honest comment. And I know James took it to heart more than it should have, but yeah, I can see how you feel dissed about that. But then the way he came back at him, he basically said, "Dude, you're one-dimensional." Like I said, and that was kind of exposed when Toronto put up that wall. Because that's another time the Bucks failed, but of course he'll say they didn't fail. That team was supposed to have been in the finals, and they were up 2-0 on Toronto. Were winning Game 3, then went to overtime and lost, and then all of a sudden Nurse said, "Let's put up this wall, and we're going to limit what he can do." And then of course Bledsoe basically was really exposed because he was like a disappearing act in that series, and then we saw Toronto went ahead and won the whole thing. So that could have easily been the Bucks.
But you know what? I think I've never heard anybody say that, but I think he has regressed. He certainly hadn't added anything to his game.
Right.
It's the same. It's like his game has been stagnant. He's not the jump. He refuses to work on that jump shot. He almost, in some ways, reminds me of Ben Simmons offensively. Not that bad. Right. But it's the same for a superstar. of his magnitude not to be able to work on improve your jumper. Everyone I could think of, the Magic Johnsons, we can go on. Even down here, Johnny Moore, the point guard for the Spurs, or Avery Johnson. All of those guys came back. And Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
They all improved their jump shots. I haven't seen that with Giannis yet, and that bothers me. So maybe I don't know what he's working on while he's in the gym, but he needs to be working on that jumper because, as you know, the game has changed. They need guys that can knock down baskets outside, and he's not doing that right now.
And here's the thing. The whole Hakeem experience, you see how Gilbert Arenas just been going on these rounds just dissing the past players, and now he's saying that, look, man, this stuff with this Hakeem is outdated. Nobody's actually applying that to their present game, so he's basically calling Hakeem a scam artist.
Do we have to comment, Gilbert?
Yeah. I'm like, dude, you talk about a guy always trying to get some clicks.
I know. Yeah.
That is that guy. But you mentioned Ben Simmons. Fellas, he's healthy and ready to play.
Yeah.
Mike said, "You go ahead, Mike."
I mean, it's amazing how this guy, even though he has some good moments in the NBA, but think about it. The whole LSU experience. Remember, he was supposed to have LSU as a national champion, and they were way below expectations. Then he comes to the league, and he's had some good moments, but then you get to like the high point moments. It's like, okay, well, he has to work on this, and then never, like D just said, never works on it. So this is embarrassing that we sit there and say, dude is scared to shoot, and then we get into, well, now we're in a mode where we have to be more understanding of athletes that they may be having mental issues, and that is understandable. We saw Simone Biles go through her battle with it, which affected her in the Olympics. So that's understandable, but he really hasn't done anything since that moment where he felt like Doc Rivers threw him under the bus and Joel Embiid when he didn't take that dunk shot or a layup and passed it. He hasn't been anything close to the same since then, and we've been hearing this every year. He's going to come back with a vengeance. I remember that one video they showed him shooting around, and even when he was just playing around, he shot an air ball. And it's like a video that's floating around. It's like, dude, and then of course they'll have video. Look at him in the gym. He's hitting jumpers. He had like 3 consecutive, but that's never translated on the court.
Hey, Mike, I think he's going to play better this year than he's played in the last 5 or 6 years. I'm talking about with him actually playing. The reason I say that is because of the style of play in Brooklyn. They want to get up and down the floor. And they'll allow him. Spencer Dinwiddie doesn't mind playing off the ball. So this will give him the opportunity to rebound and take it coast to coast and find guys, the Magic Johnson type game. They wouldn't allow him. They didn't give him the freedom to do that. And Joel Embiid really didn't like playing with him.
Yeah.
So you always got to factor that stuff in the locker room. You know how the stuff in the locker room dimensions. And those guys didn't seem like they really accepted being from the beginning. I could see Mikal Bridges and these guys, Cam Johnson and these guys welcoming him with open arms. And I think if you listen to the way he's been talking, I haven't heard him talk like this before. He's talking like he's really ready. He's been kind of, 1 minute he talks, next minute he disappears. He continues now on the same path, saying that he's healthy, he's ready to play. And I'm going to take him at his word because I think the offense that they play is more made for his game.
Well, sometimes you get humble. Sometimes you grow up. I mean, he came into the league as a youngster. Now he is a young man. So, I wish him nothing but the best, man.
Ricky, it's not as much pressure on him now as it was playing with Harden and Embiid.
Yeah, that is very true.
And now that Kyrie and KD out of Brooklyn, it's definitely less of a spotlight, because I would say right now in Brooklyn, there's more hype on the Liberty. because Stewie is the MVP and they're trying to resurrect New York. And so I think there's more spotlight on the Liberty now than that. So he can kind of maneuver his way into it and say, look, at the end of the year, you're going to see a more improved player. By the time this year ends, you're going to say, Ben Simmons is back or Ben Simmons is finally here. So, because like I said, he had moments, especially his rookie year, but it's been basically, if we did a grade, it'd be incomplete right now. That's what the scorecard would be, incomplete.
I'm gonna put this on the screen if I can make it work. I don't know if you guys saw this from former number 2 overall pick Jabari Parker talking about today's NBA game and why he went overseas.
Watered down.
And Derek, I'm gonna let you start here, being that you have played in the NBA. And he said he points out a lot of things. Analytics make teams play the patterns. Veterans getting pushed out the league. Only stars can take middies, which I'm thinking is mid-range shots. Post plays eliminated. League too young. Rules are softer than ever. I'll just keep going. No teams have core players, which I disagree with that. When you look at Golden State and some of those teams, way too much player movement. I mean, isn't that what you guys wanted as NBA players? Free agency, the ability to go other places and make money, individualization of the game. Your thoughts on some of these points?
I like Jabari Parker. Of course, we know he was projected to be a superstar when he was in Milwaukee. But I think this is a little sour grapes. I think he's a little upset. He's talking like he decided to pass up the NBA and go to Barcelona. Yeah. But I don't remember reading about too many teams knocking down Jabari Parker's door.
Yeah.
So it sounds like to me he's a little angry. We all know the game has changed. It is a different game over here than it is over in Europe. But I'm not going to say the league is watered down. I'm not going to be one of those old fogies, as they call us, the old guys stuck back in the old days. We have to move with, it's a progression. I've accepted more the way the game is being played now. I think it's an exciting game. If you listen to the way we're talking about the East and the West, it doesn't look like the game is hurting too much. And if you look at it, he's saying it's watered down. But, Mike, are the players from the NBA trying to go to Europe, or are the players from Europe trying to come to the NBA?
Great point.
So it sounds like sour grapes to me.
Right. And I got a couple aspects on this. So when you say watered down, the most apropos time to say that is during the only years that Michael Jordan played, those 6 years. Because think about it. When you were playing, Derek, and then also when Michael came in, it was 23 teams. And there was a CBA. So when you added, so Michael didn't win until you added the 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So that does water down the league because you got guys that wouldn't have been in NBA now in the NBA because they got 60 more roster spots that wouldn't have been in the NBA. So that's when you can make that kind of comment. But of course, no one would ever do that because they say, how dare you disrespect Michael Jordan and say he played during a watered down era. Then you added the 2 Canadian teams also during his winning NBA championships. So now you got 6 teams. And then, of course, eventually Charlotte came in, the Bobcats. So 7 teams have been added. So if you want to make that claim, that would have been the time when the 17 came in, you could say, or when the 14s came in, then eventually the 2 Canadian teams came in. You can make that argument then and say the league's watered down because, you got all these expansion teams, and then that means that the level of play is going to go down somewhat. Now, to say that now, after we've adapted to all these teams integrated, and now we've used to having 30 teams in the NBA, it's not really a valid statement to make that then. And then back to Jabari, here's an interesting thing. Jabari is supposed to be where Giannis is now.
Yep.
He blew out his knee rookie year, was headed for rookie of the year, he was ahead of Wiggins the way he was playing with the Bucks. And then that right there basically ended everything. He had been hurt in high school because he was the number one player in the country out of Simeon. And then he got hurt, and then Wiggins kind of emerged him, and they were like this coming out of high school. And then Wiggins goes to Kansas, and he goes to Duke. Played pretty good at Duke, but then he's a number 2 pick by the Bucks, and it looks real promising. But that fateful night when they played at Phoenix, blew out his knee, never, ever came close to being the Jabari that they thought it was going to be. And then Jason Kidd was the coach at the time, and Jason Kidd was saying stuff like, "Oh, we're going to make Giannis point guard." I was like, what? I said, stop messing it up for Jabari. This is supposed to be Jabari's team. And then Jabari just faded away, and then Giannis emerged. So,
hey, Mike, but let me say, but remember, hey, Mike, I'm sorry, but remember this, though. This is what I have a problem with him talking, right?
Yeah.
Before last season started, 2022-23 season, didn't a team bring Jabari Parker in to give him a look? Okay. So he didn't measure up, right? Yeah. So now all of a sudden the league's watered down. Right. You should be grateful that they gave you enough opportunity. It just didn't work out. Right. But don't rip them after they gave you an opportunity, man. It's like we always talk about don't burn those bridges because you got to go back over them. Now, if he wants to come back to the league, how is he going to do that now after making these comments?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless he's just giving up on it, say, you know what, I'm just going to finish it out in Europe and then, settle down, because he had a tremendous career leading up to the NBA. I mean, 4 consecutive state championships at Simeon and in Chicago. So that's a lot of accolades there. And then you go to the historic Duke University.
The Blue Devils. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So things are looking like it was going to be, this is the next time. And he's the son of Sonny Parker. I mean, he's a legacy player. So it was a lot going for him. But, sometimes,
it happens, man.
The luck of the draw doesn't work for you. I mean,
look at Greg.
Look at Sam Bowie. Sam Bowie was like, he was a
Greg Oden was
man in the country. And
Greg Oden was going to be the next Bill Russell.
Yep. Right.
You remember? Hey, Derek, what's the training camp opening next week? This big move tonight. Are teams looking at this and saying, I mean, the teams that are trying to challenge for a championship, are they saying, okay, now what do we have to do? Or do they wait a bit? Because we're going into camp. Are we going to have to make some moves? We're almost certain to see more moves because we know Harden's going to be going somewhere.
Well, it's still, to me, it's too early because we don't know, like even the Harden situation, right? Until that's completed, first it was Dame and Harden. So there's still a lot of question marks. But to me, this doesn't move the needle that much. Like I said about Milwaukee, I love Dame. He's one of my favorite players. But we don't know how it's going to work with him and Giannis and the new coach. And then all the dynamics as far as Lopez and Middleton, their health and all that. So right now, I wouldn't be in panic mode. I would just play it out. Certain teams already, if you look at Boston, they're already secure. Boston's ready. I think Cleveland's going to be better. I think the Knicks are going to be better. I don't think there's a lot of teams out there panicking. The only reason Jimmy Butler was upset is because he feels that Dame should be in Miami. I don't think this made a lot of teams nervous. I think they're more nervous about the Phoenix Suns.
Well, I have a question for you. Maybe this will help Middleton get back to the way you play, because now it's not that pressure for him to be that scorer when Giannis is, being trapped or being double, triple team. Now it's suddenly like this cat right here is going to give us at least 25 a night. So now I could kind of like.
Hey, Mike, but
these shots off.
A couple of years ago, Mike, who was Milwaukee's closer though? Wasn't it Middleton?
It was Middleton. That's what I'm saying.
So he has to make an adjustment first of all. If he makes the adjustment, because he's not the same player. I don't know if he'll ever be.
Right.
But if he buys into playing with Dame, I think Dame could help make the game a lot easier for Middleton.
That's what I'm saying.
And if he accepts his role and but a lot of times the guys say they're going to accept their role, but once you got a taste of being an all-star and you got to play with the USA team, A lot of guys don't make the adjustment. They talk a good game in front of the public, but if he's really bought in, then I think it could work. But they still got to shore up their bench. Last year we were talking about Portland's bench. Now we're talking about Phoenix bench. Now the question is going to be Milwaukee's bench.
I guess we just got a few more minutes here. This hour has jetted by. But when you look at the West now, did Phoenix get better, get rid of Aiden and bringing in Nurkic?
For me, without question. But Ricky, they not only Nurkic, Nasir Little is a heck of a player.
To go with KD and all those guys.
Nurkic, the reason Nurkic's not going to cause any problems in the locker room. He's just going to go out and play. You can use Nurkic in a variety of ways, but the biggest difference, the most important thing, is he's a rim protector. They were laying the ball up, man, like Aiden was 6'2". And he wasn't a heck of a rebounder. What did he average, Mike? About 7 rebounds?
Not that many, yeah.
So Nurkic, a healthy Nurkic is getting you 15 and 10. Yeah. And he's covering that rim. And he's not a bad passer. He's a better passer than Aiden. He just wants it more. It seemed like he just wanted to be out there, and he wants to win. I think it's a great trade for Phoenix.
And Mike and Derek, he matches up better with the Joker.
Yeah, he's not afraid.
The Joker just destroyed Aiden.
He treated Aiden like a child.
Derek, you're just hot tonight, man.
No, I mean, but yeah, sometimes you do have to be honest about it, and there's a difference between being honest.
Hey, Mike,
and doing the nonsense that Gilbert Arenas does.
Mike, do you think Matt Ishbia feels any different than me?
Yeah,
probably not.
He could remember new people. Don't forget now, new ownership.
Right.
He don't want to start off his new ownership like that, man. He doesn't want any. I won't say he's soft, but he has some soft moments. He doesn't want to start off like that. And then the locker room stuff. You have to get rid of all that. So I think Nurkic is a ray of sunshine coming to that team.
Yeah, when Aiden couldn't get along with
Monty Williams.
Yep.
You can't get along with Monty Williams, man. That's really saying something.
But Ricky, because of your lack of effort, though, not because Monty just felt like picking on you. Right. I blame Monty somewhat for not trying to rectify the situation because I think he could have handled it better. And when I see him this year, I'm gonna tell him that when I see him face to face. But I'm sure he'll handle it differently now where he's at. But it could have been both of them could have handled it better. So I'm not gonna put it all on Aiden. I'm gonna give some of the weight to Monty as well. But yeah, it's just time to clean the slate and start new. And I think they've done well by acquiring Nurkic.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. It's always great when the NBA starts up. We got the NFL. We got some Major League Baseball playoffs around the corner. Mike, anything you want to let us know about before we get out of here?
Well, of course, and then hockey. I just did hockey last night. So you got preseason hockey. So of course, and then I had a chance to talk to the history maker, Mike Greer. I talked to him. And it was funny because it was Thursday.
Tell our viewers who Mike Greer is for the non-hockey folks.
Well, yeah. Mike Greer is he's the first black GM in NHL history, and he happens to be with the San Jose Sharks. But his brother is the GM of the Miami Dolphins. So the question I posed to him was, okay, there's about to be a big game here in Santa Clara County. It was the Niners playing that Thursday night game. I said, but are you a Niner fan now that you are back here in the Bay Area, or your brother's team in Miami? He said, come on, man, it's Miami all the way. He said, but I will be cool with a Miami 49ers Super Bowl. So we'll see if that comes to fruition or not.
Miami put 70 on Denver.
70.
You talk
and
about
being humble. Found some way to blame Russell Wilson.
I guess Peyton is a little more humble now.
I was so happy. Thank you, Ricky. Talking that trash about Nathaniel Hackett. Yeah, and then they come up and give up 70.
70.
And could have scored more. The coach was really nice about it.
Yeah,
they could have scored more. They could have broken the record.
They could have broken the record.
Yep.
Yeah. So
The most points in 57 years, and they gave up the most yards in 72 years.
yeah, that is correct. Hey, let's talk about before we get out here. Last topic. We got to talk about Colorado and Deion Sanders and what's happening out there. They got, you know what I liked about Deion the other day after he got his butt kicked. He made no excuses. He said, "Hey man, we got to be better. That's all." They kicked our butts in every form and fashion out there. But he said, "You better get me now."
Yeah.
Because I'm going to get some guys. Derek, start with you. Your thoughts on Deion and what's happening in Colorado. And Mike, I'll let you close us down with that.
I think Deion in Colorado has been magnificent, not just for the University of Colorado, but for college in general. He's made a lot of. If you look at all these coaches, Deion has basically pretty much upset the apple cart.
Yes, yeah.
You're used to the Sabins and hearing about the Lincoln Rileys and the Jimbo Fishers and all that. So, a lot of people were upset that he left Jackson State. But I'm not one of those, because you have to do what's best for you and for your future and your family. I'm glad to see him. The only thing I will say about Deion is I hope he starts promoting the other players a little more, as opposed to just Shedeur and Hunter and his other son. You got to talk about these other. When he said about the 7 or 8 new dogs that he needs, I'm just trying to figure out how those offensive linemen and defensive linemen took that, because they are what you have right now, and you don't want to lose them over the course of a season while you're talking about making improvements next season. He's still got to find a way to complement these guys. They're going to take another beat down on Saturday. So he's got to still keep up. He's got to keep uplifting these guys. You don't want to lose them. I still project them to win 7 games, 7-5.
Yeah.
But that's with him pumping the guys up and not getting frustrated.
And Mike, they'll go to the best 7-5 bowl game in the history of college football, because everybody wants to watch him play.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, I'm out here in the Pac-12, the lame duck year, but I'm out here in the Pac-12, and so I get a lot of that. And the thing about it is that Caleb, the President Heisman Trophy or defending Heisman Trophy winner, he didn't play that well either last game. And I made a comment. I said Shedeur was like the movie, How to Lose a Heisman Trophy in 60 Minutes. Because the way he was exposed out there, those voters are going to say, well, we've been waiting for a moment to get him off the list because we don't want Deion to actually get credit for producing a Heisman Trophy winner. So I think he may be off the list after that game. And then, of course, everybody was anticipating this USC game because it would have been a battle of the Heisman Trophy guys, and happened to be 2 black quarterbacks. So this is still going to be a big game. A lot of these outlets say they're going to be in Boulder, but it's kind of anticlimactic after what happened in Oregon. So we'll see. We'll see if Caleb is still the front runner, because they kind of dropped him down a few pegs because, like I said, the last game,
only one guy has won it back to back. That's Archie.
It's going to be 2. But Mike, will you be honest about Shedeur? If he really came out this year, Deion talking about he don't want to come out because he'd be number 2. I see him being honest. If he came out this year, I see him as a 4th or 5th round draft pick.
It all depends on how the scouts will do. You get some scouts.
Well, that's what I'm going by, the scouts. It's a different game, Mike. If you look at people, we still have questions about Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Shedeur's no Lamar Jackson.
I got you, but once again, it all depends on what those teams want to do. They say, you know what, we could develop this guy, but he's gonna be high profile, and we're gonna have everybody coming to see him. So,
hey, Mike, look. The game changes when it comes to this.
Yeah.
They're not doing Deion any favors. This young man still has a lot to learn, and you'll find that out as the season progresses. You'll find that out Saturday. It's not just the offensive line. Shedeur still has a lot that he has to work on. I'm not saying he's not a super talent. I'm just saying you got guys like Penix, You got Caleb Williams. There are several quarterbacks right now that would be rated above him if the draft were tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, definitely Caleb. But once again, as I said, for this Heisman race, because he was averaging 450 yards a game
against TCU, Nebraska, and Colorado State, Mike.
Yeah,
but it's over the course of the year. You got to do it all
defending runner-up in the national championship game.
They got beat 65-7, Mike, in the championship. Stop that. They start off ranked number 17. By the season is over, TCU will not even be in the top 100 teams when the season is over.
Right, but they were ranked high top
last year.
This year.
Well, they were ranked opening day, just like Colorado was ranked last week. But let me tell you guys something. I used to vote that stuff. The rankings, man, they're total really BS. Really.
They're ridiculous.
I'm voting on stuff. Man, I ain't seen all these teams play.
Exactly.
I ain't seen all these teams play. But you go back, this is USC, so they got to be at least here. This is Texas, so they got to be here. So that all that stuff is really subjective. But, hey, man, I got to get out of here. D, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, man.
I love you guys, man. I appreciate you even asking me. Mike, I love you, man. I always enjoy being on the show with you guys.
Absolutely. And always check out Derek and I when we do as good as it gets. And D, I'll call you over the weekend. We'll figure out a date. Mike, I'll be in touch with you. But we're going to get out of here for now. For Derek Gervin, Mike Roberson, I'm Rick Hampton. Peace, everybody.
Peace, everybody. Let's go Lions.
Go Lions.